What is going on? This is our first episode of
We don't have a name yet.
kind of to be determined. We're not sure, but by the time this comes out, it will have a name. We all met at the Erie, PA real estate investor meetings. A couple of young guys who were curious to hustle and learn more, and this is all kind of part of that. Our goal is to network, reach out to as many people as we possibly can, and while we learn, kind of help everyone else learn. So we'll give you a bit of our story and kind of what the goal of this whole podcast is going to be. To my right here is Scott. Scott can explain himself, and across the table is Billy, and we'll kind of go around and state who we are and what we're trying to accomplish here.
Dom, you really have like the podcast voice. Like it is perfect. Well, I'm Scott Jessica. I buy and sell houses for a living. That's what I do strictly. So all I really know how to talk about is real estate. I don't talk about much else. So for me, this is perfect. Bill, you wanna chime in here on who Billy Norfolk is?
So my name's Billy Norfolk. I work at Lighthouse Insurance Agency. Also looking to invest in rental
Billy, you gotta be up here,
properties.
buddy.
Come closer
That's
to the mic.
better.
There you go.
I like that.
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A lot better.
All right. So yeah, I'm Billy Norfolk. I work at Lighthouse Insurance Agency. Came across real estate by, just kind of looking at what my dad has built over the years, and we write a lot of rental properties for people in Erie and outside of Erie as well. So I kind of got involved in the looking at real estate then, and then my senior year of college, I was like, hey, once I graduate, I'm going to start buying real estate. I have a couple of deals I'm working on right now, and so finally going to have my first property a couple of weeks from now. So I'm really excited for that, and then just looking to grow and looking to educate myself by as Dom said, bringing in investors who have been successful to help us navigate different areas of real estate, as well as help the other younger investor, the newbie investor, learn from the people who have been successful at it.
This was kind of a natural progression. Is the three of us, whenever we're together, either you and me, or all three of us, we talk about is real estate. So like it seemed like a natural progression that we document it, and then put it out there. Dom, you want to talk about yourself and your
Absolutely.
Kind of your history?
We felt like we were a perfect three, as I'm a real estate agent with Agresti Real Estate, sales manager at San Filippo Building Services, and I also invest myself. So me being a real estate agent, Billy being insurance, and Scott being on the investor side, which all of us kind of have our foot in the door on the investor side. I grew up watching my dad build custom homes he's been building for over 35 years now. So I grew up watching custom homes be built and kind of learned about real estate that way. When I was a senior in high school, I bought my first duplex, had no idea what I was doing. And I would have loved something like this, young guys that I could relate to, talking to people that have been there and done it over the years and had success. So I bought my duplex in high school, got thrown into it, didn't know what I was doing, but it's turned out great for me. Got my real estate license just to kind of sell to myself, and now also do residential sales and sales with other investors like Billy on his current deal that we can't talk about, but will be exciting eventually to talk about. And that's kind of what brings me here as well.
Well, Dom, I think let's start by flipping it back, because you said you bought your first duplex your senior year of high school. What made you buy a duplex?
Well, I had money that I had to do something with, and I wasn't sure what to do with it, and I didn't want to be a classic 18 years old at the time. I didn't want to be the classic 18-year-old that kind of just blew money, and I knew I wanted to, I had money that I'd saved up, and I wanted to do something responsible with it, and I started looking into real estate. I started looking into stocks. Stocks kind of scared me because I couldn't drive there and I couldn't look at it. It wasn't tangible. It was just a number on a screen that went up and down,
No control.
Yeah. So that really scared me. If stock wasn't paying, I couldn't, drive to it and ask it to politely pay. So it scared me. And so I found out about real estate, watched a ton of YouTube, which I think is how a lot of people are learning these days. A ton of YouTube.
That's how I learned.
A ton of YouTube, podcasts, books, and kind of just jumped into it and haven't regretted it whatsoever. I'm so happy I just really jumped into it. Yeah.
I love it. You took action.
Completely jumped into it.
Who were you watching that you were like, hey, I'm going to model myself after this person? Was there a specific person or a specific group of people who you're like, hey, I'm going to model what I'm doing after this person or these people?
I think I watched kind of the usual. I watched Grant Cardone, and he wasn't a huge influence necessarily. He was kind of more of a motivator than like a business model setup.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Gary Vee just on the marketing advertising side, which has kind of come into me as a real estate agent with my marketing videos and kind of just how I portray myself on social media. I watch a lot of Graham Stephan.
He's a realtor, so it vibes well with you.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
He's out in California and does, he's a realtor with investment properties, and he's more on the, buy and hold and that sort of thing, which is kind of what I fell into. But just talks about money and financing and that sort of thing. A lot of Bigger Pockets listen to. I drove across the country, and while doing that, that was like 40 hours one way. So, like 80 hours and 10 days I did back and forth, and basically just listened to podcasts that whole time to get past the time. And
now, what did the other people in the car say? Were they like, can't listen to another podcast? Or?
I was only with one person.
I was going to say, I thought you were driving alone.
No, I drove with one person. So he also has kind of a business mindset, so he found it fascinating as well.
Cool. And so it's like, you've kind of modeled yourself after a certain group of people. One of the guys who you mentioned, off the record, was you watch a lot of Ryan Serhant.
Yeah, absolutely love Ryan.
Yeah, so it's like I've started watching more Ryan Serhant's information. It's like everyone has such great information that you can apply to other areas of your life. So I've been watching his. It's not time management. You don't manage time. You maximize your time. So I've been watching his videos on how he structures his days, his morning routines, and just kind of his life. But I've also kind of modeled how I want to invest off of people like Grant Cardone and Justin Spalding, who's out of Wisconsin. He's more of a younger guy. He's probably like 31, 32 years old, but he's built up a big portfolio out in the Wisconsin area. And then one other person who I've started kind of following recently is Rod Cleef. So me and a few other people, we sat down on a weekend in the summer, and we tore through one of his courses there, and it was really awesome. But it's like it's cool to kind of see different people modeling themselves after other people, because there's so many ways to make money in real estate. And
why reinvent the wheel?
It's so easy to just get caught up in, hey, if someone's doing it this way, I should do it this way, and I should do it this way, and I should do it this way. And a lot of times, I mean, for me, I took a year just to be like, okay, well, someone can make money doing this, or someone can do long buy and holds, or someone can do flips, and someone can do, syndications or no money downs. It's, at the end of the day, you have to figure out, well, what do I want to kind of focus on? What's going to be my niche in it?
That's all that I did.
So let me ask you this. This kind of applies to both of you, because you've both done this. What made you to, you go from YouTube, which is obviously free and you can learn a ton of stuff for free, but then what made you kind of choose a certain mentor, or, that you're going to invest, money and time? Like you mentioned the classes, or I know you've flown to Florida to hear Grant Cardone speak and that sort of thing. What makes you confident enough on one certain person to kind of be like, I'm going to put money into this. I'm going to, actually take the time, not just watch them on YouTube, but invest more and fully into that because I trust what they're saying. How do you find that person that you trust enough to?
I'm excited to answer that question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think for me, I think one, you got to look at it from two different sides. One, I don't know if I'm going to learn anything from it. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to learn something from it, but whether that's something that you can take long term, you're not really sure. You're kind of taking a shot in the dark on it, but you're going to spend the money anyway. So I know myself. I know my spending habits. I know that if I have money, I'm going to spend it. So I might as well educate myself, which I kind of find funny considering, my GPA in college wasn't really, anything to write home about.
I was like 2.5 or something like that.
And I completely skipped over college.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
I congratulate you.
Dom might be the smartest person
Yeah.
for doing that.
Yeah.
It's,
Against the grain.
yeah, you save a bunch of money, and I mean,
If I could go back, I would never go to college.
Well, you do college for the connections.
I didn't.
You know, and I was playing sports coming out of high school. So I was like, hey, I want to go and play football. And I wanted to end up coaching football or being involved in football. I have friends now who are scouts in the NFL, and I have old coaches who are coaches in the NFL. I have coaches all over college football, and I have buddies who are heavily involved in coaching. And, you know, originally that was something I wanted to do. And just kind of throughout college, I just had a shift of, you know, what I wanted to do. But yeah, that's the only reason why I went to college.
That's one thing that I'm curious when we do have guests. So our whole goal is to have guests on who we can ask questions to and kind of learn from them, who are, you know, in the place that we want to be. So guys that have already done it and are already, you know, they've made the mistakes, they've you know, had the hardships. We want to really learn from them, pick their brains, dig into that. But that's one thing that we're definitely very curious about is, for them, what was kind of, you know, what taught you to work hard? Like me, we've all talked off air, and, you know, I've asked Billy how much playing football and having a routine schedule and, you know, having a hardworking dad, how much that really has, you know, an effect on him. So we definitely look forward to hearing from guests of what really was their driving factor, what taught them young, because it obviously, as we all see, you need to work very hard to be successful, as we are surrounded with lots of people that work hard and we learn from them. So
that's something that's an interesting topic too, is you talk about football. Like when you were in high school, you did a lot of football and you didn't work. Me, I didn't do any sports and I only worked. So we have these like contradicting things that there's not a wrong way, but it's very interesting, the perspective that there's two different perspectives. One is in football, you talk about when there's a challenge, they teach you the mindset to push past the challenge. Whereas work, for me, taught me work ethic. So that there's not like a wrong thing, but there's two different perspectives. And then
I think you can learn, you know, I think you probably came out with similar learning experiences from both. You know, you both learned how to work hard.
Well, they're both improvement.
Yeah, you get what you work hard for. You know, if you get a trophy, it's because you worked hard and you worked with your team, and you know, it's the same. And you know, you got to work as a team. You know, we're obviously here as three right now. We wouldn't be here by ourselves. We're working together to be where we want to be. We brainstorm together, and you know, I think it probably learned the same lessons, whichever way you attack it.
Absolutely. So to bring up your point earlier, you talked about modeling people that you
who to invest in and how you know to, you know, how you know you want to put your money towards that person. Yeah, what was your answer for that?
Well, I had a few mentors throughout my I'm on my third real estate mentor right now. Not to say that the first two weren't I don't still talk to or still do deals with, but as you progress, you just want to learn more. But to start, YouTube is free, and we talked about that. I am a product of Ty Lopez, Phil Pustiowski, Max Maxwell. Like if you were to combine those three together, that would be me, because I've learned so much from the three of them, that they put out such solid quality content. Like Ty, I paid for a course. Like the first course I paid for him was like the 67-step course, but it taught me foundational things in business. It didn't teach me anything about real estate. Phil Pustiowski taught a lot of things about real estate that were like absolute signal, like absolute truth, that I got a lot out of. And then Max Maxwell too, he put out such good content that like I was like, that works. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. So I just copied what he did and it worked really well. Like that's it.
I like what you said there about, you know, you're on your third mentor for where you're at in your life. And I think that's something that we're going to really be able to take away from, because one thing I've learned about being around people in being around the investors, even the biggest investors in Erie, they're going and learning from other people still. So one of the things I really liked, and one of the things I always knew was, hey, I'm going to be I'm going to be a lifelong learner.
Yep.
I have no issues, you know, spending money on educating myself. And, you know, it's really fascinating. And, you know, it's interesting to see that, hey, here's a group of people who, you know, they invest in themselves, and then they invest in their properties, and then they rinse and repeat. They rinse and repeat. They rinse and repeat. It's not challenging things. It's just duplicating the exact same process over and over and over again. And you scale, and then you build something that, you know, you're proud of, and that, you know, you can pass on to your kids or you can take care of your family on it. And
that's a really good point I wanted to talk on. I was faced with the decision to join a local mastermind group that we have here in Erie that you joined, and I had the decision to join the mastermind. I had the money to pay for either that or a personal coach. And I was like, do I spend the money for the mastermind that's here? Or do I spend money on the personal coach? And I decided at that time it was best used for the coach. However, there wasn't a wrong answer. It's just in my situation at that time, that's what I picked. But I picked it because of my situation. Like, I'm working on specific problems that I need their like one-on-one. And the coaching program, like, I have this app called Voxer that I can just like walkie-talkie the mentor back and forth. And it's like super convenient that I can pick his brain anytime I want. So, yeah, I just want to touch on that.
I think that's one of the things about real estate too. You mentioned being a continuous learner.
Yep.
Where, I think real estate's one of those things where you have to have patience. I think you have to be okay with being, you have to be okay being at the bottom. Like, it's not one of those, no one's going to advertise as online as get rich quick. It's not one of these schemes where you're a young guy and you're going to get into it and make a ton of money, your first year. Like, you got to, seriously, as we all see, you have to work extremely hard for a long time and build that up, and then it's going to pay you out. But it's not one of those things where you can just kind of hop into it, not really know what you're doing. And
well, I noticed the people that hustle the most are the ones that make the most money.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
There's people in this town that outwork me, and they make more money than I do naturally.
Yeah,
that's all that it is. Hustle.
There's no easy get rich quick.
No. They might advertise that online, like you can get rich quick in real estate, which you can if you really bust your ass.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where, if you're working really hard and you flip a house and you pool $40K profit, whatever it may be,
a third of which is the government's.
Yeah, exactly. You got to pay taxes on it, but
unless you do it creatively.
If you don't flip another house, you're not going to make that again.
You got to turn it.
You got to keep working, keep working. Yep. So it's not like you're going to hop into it and make a ton of money. And I think that's kind of, we're all okay with being patient and understanding that there's a whole route that we have to take, and it might not be within a month that we're.
That's more the investor side. So like the investor side, I completely agree with you that it's a long game.
Yeah.
The flipping game, which is more what I'm into now because I'm young and I have to make money now. I buy and sell as is. So for me, like, I make those quick bucks, but I have to keep returning it. The ultimate goal of most people getting into real estate is to retire. A lot of people have their wealth built in real estate, kind of like you talked about. You got to be patient with it. And I'm not patient. I like to get things done. I just wanted to emphasize on that point.
Yeah, no, I like to get things done as well, but I've kind of built my life around preparing myself for my future self. So I know most of the things that I'm doing now. I mean, I'm working really hard right now and with everything that I'm doing, but I know that I'm not really going to see a big difference until I'm in my late 20s. So I'm 23 now. I turn 24 next month. And, so one of the things I know that I'm going to be very, very well off when I'm 27, 28, 29. And, I've been very strategic in how I've approached it, knowing that, hey, if I'm going to do this, I need this. There's step 1, there's step 2, there's step 3. And, just making sure that, hey, what's my next step here?
And I think that's one of the things that's going to be exciting, because some of the people we've talked about having on, we've talked about people at every age group, from 60s to, mid 20s to upper 20s, who are all successful and making good money and stuff. So it'll be very curious to see, kind of the path that they took of, the quicker route, the long-term route, and, to see how they got there and kind of what age it kind of blew up and where they started. And, people start at different ages and with different amounts of money, and everybody's situation is different, but it'll be very interesting to see, what the guests,
because everyone has a completely different background.
And the thing with real estate is everyone's very willing to share, which I love. Everyone in real estate kind of wants to see the next guy's up and be able to do a deal with the next guy. And I think it's good.
Everyone who's involved in real estate, they kind of see it more as there's an abundance of opportunity. There's so many people in other industries who are like, there's such a limited mindset on what you can do. And the people involved in real estate, it's like there's so much opportunity. you look around. Like I drove with my brother earlier this summer, and just because it's like, I was having a bad day or something like that, or I had a few things not go my way, and it's like, so let's drive around and let's just look at all the different opportunities, and it's like it's incredible. You can drive a block and there are opportunities everywhere.
I think that's the cool thing too. Opportunities, but me and Scott were sitting in here on Saturday, or just the other day, whatever day it may be, but we were writing out options, and that's the thing with real estate. One option might not work, but it makes you find a different route, which I think is excellent, not just for real estate, but what it teaches you just in life in general. It's, this option A, that might not work. Option B, that might not work. Option C, that might not work. But wait, we move things around. We took stuff from here, we moved stuff here, and bam, make the deal happen. And that's kind of, you got to think outside of the box almost always.
Yeah.
Always.
Kind of how I evaluate every single deal that I do. It's like, well, exactly right. Option A is I could make a quick buck. Option B is I can put money into this and it'll take longer to get the money out, but it's more of a long-term game. Option C is I can bring an investor in. I could make some money on the front end, or a mix of all, and I got to pick the decision that makes the best route. I don't know how creatively you can get with that. That's what my point is. I just like that you could do that with real estate. Like, you got options. That's my point. I love it. So, anything else you guys want to talk about in the first podcast? Like, we kind of hit.
I'd say, that kind of leaves us off.
We're at 21 minutes
on a really good spot, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. But our first guest that we're gonna have on, we're not gonna name them yet, but they kind of went through, and they didn't get into real estate until later on in their life. So they're a little not older now, but they're
older
not
than us.
Yeah, they're definitely older than us, but they took a different route, and it's going to be interesting to see how their life changed as they evolved, and what step took them next, and how they got into real estate, and lately they've exploded, and so it's going to be really interesting.
Hit a hockey stick.
And they've been somebody who I think they've been great to all of us, and helped all of us with any questions, not just completely open and numbers, willing to share anything, and definitely helping people coming up. So they'll be a great one to be on here, ask any questions, share their story, and definitely be more than willing to help anybody that's getting into it and serious about real estate. So definitely will be a fun guest, a good story.
I think that's a great conclusion to the first podcast. We don't have a name for it yet, but we'll figure it out.
We'll figure out a good one. So.
Yeah. All right, crew. Thanks for listening. Final words, boys?
Signing off.
Yep.
Signing off.